Welcome to the Becoming Unlimited podcast. I cannot wait to get stuck into all the conversations we're going to be having with inspirational women of colour who are living their soul purpose. But before we do that, and as an intro to the podcast, I thought I should tell you a little bit more about myself in case you didn't know me. But don't worry, over the course of this podcast, you are going to get to know me very deeply. So before we get stuck in, let's start with a little bit of grounding into our bodies and into our breath so that we can become present with this episode. So if you're walking, don't worry, you don't need to close your eyes. But if you're sitting still, and especially if you're driving, please don't close your eyes. But if you're sitting still, I just want you to take a moment to place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and take a deep breath in. All the way to the top and hold for a second and then release the air from your mouth. Let's do 2 more of those together. Deep belly breath in, feeling that air fill up your lungs and your belly. Hold at the top and out through your mouth. 1 more deep belly breath in, following the air through your nasal passage, down your throat into your belly. Holding at the top. And release. Amazing. So let's get started. On these solo casts, I am going to start with a beautiful universal law. Now, I've already picked the cards, and the cards I'll be using for these solo casts come from the Spiritual Awakening 52 Universal Oracle Cards deck by Dr. Erin Fall Haskell. I absolutely love them. And I pick a card every day. And no, I'm not sponsored by her, but these are incredible universal laws, which is helping me daily on my spiritual journey. So the law that I picked today was the law of habit. Now, this is all about igniting your creativity with a pattern interrupt. So it's not about creating habits. We get into this notion of creating habits all the time, and we become that habit, right? It becomes our reality. But what this is saying is those habits may make you feel like your life is like Groundhog Day. And this is the inverted use of the universal law of habit, okay? So it's a good time for a pattern interrupt or a vacation to get you out of your current environment. You are designed to build upon your divine creations, rising in your ability to love, express, and connect. So, do something that you've never done before today. Take a new route to work, eat at a different restaurant, eat out alone, talk to someone within your community that you would normally not engage with, and begin to notice how much of your life is actually just a pattern. So let's start interrupting our patterns and let's change our habits. How does that sound? I think that's a lovely card to start this session with. So, oh gosh, where do I start? So, I think Spirit's been trying to wake me up for a long, long time. I've had many moments that should have woken me up. I've had many moments where I've known I was awake to this spiritual reality and this whole kind of not being in the matrix that we're in. But you know what? I never fully woke up. And it took me a long time. And it's funny because people used to say to me, oh, Ush, you're such a spiritual person. And I was like, what are they talking about? I'm not at all. It turns out that I am. So I think I've been spiritual all my life. And I think it was the moment I remember being outside. I used to live in Cheltenham. I remember being outside my parents' house in Cheltenham, looking up at the stars, because back then, 40 odd years ago, it was really safe to be outside at night with, your friends. There was no issues, and the world was a really safe place. And so we just sit outside looking at the stars and going, I wonder what this whole thing is for. What is life for? Like, we're here on this planet, we're going to school. This was at the time, and I've seen my parents, they're working that really hard. What is it for? There's got to be a bigger reason. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there's a scene in Men in Black at the end. I know, it's a really, really crap movie. I'm joking. I love Will Smith. That's why I watched it. But there's a scene in Men in Black at the end where these aliens are literally using our planet as a marble and like flicking it. And this scene has remained in my life since the moment I saw this. And I'm going, oh, are we just a game for someone? What is this, right? So I've been questioning our purpose like for a long time. And then I think I forgot because so many things happened to me. And, over the course of, the next few episodes, I will fill you in on the traumas that I've had, the challenges that I've had to deal with, and how I came to becoming, a soul purpose and spiritual life coach. But, I think it was really lockdown. It was the first lockdown where, it wasn't. It was 2017, actually, where I was like, okay, I've been working for X amount of years. I'm ready to do something different. I qualified at that point as a personal trainer, and I'd gone on this 3-month journey around Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And I remember being in Thailand. Thailand is one of my favorite countries in the world. And I remember being in Thailand, and there was this one particular evening, we went to this like cliff top bar restaurant, and we're watching the sunset into the ocean. And it was in Phuket, and I think it was Kuta Beach, or Karen Beach, one of them. We're at this clifftop restaurant, and this sun was just setting into the ocean. And the sunset's one of my favourite suns, right? Everyone knows this about me. And I was just sat there and I was going, this is it. This is life. Like, this simple, beautiful life, connecting with strangers, travelling, being able to just be in the moment. And I think that was my kind of one of my wake up calls as well, thinking there is more to life. I cannot go back to the rat race. Now I'll explain the rat race to you in a minute, because I did eventually have to go back because of another challenge that I went through. But coming back from Thailand, it was hard. I remember spending the last week of my time in Thailand, and I know it's ridiculous. Most people go away, for a 1-week holiday. But I was there, like literally going, oh my God, in tears. And I remember climbing up. So if you've been to Phuket, there's this big Buddha. And it's about 4 kilometres. It's a 4-kilometre hike to the top. And I'd done this hike twice before. But the last week of being in Phuket, I was like, you know what, I want to do the hike one more time. And the first 2 times were all about how fast I could get up that hill. But this time, it was about being present with the walk. Seeing the sights, seeing the elephants, walking past them, noticing the smells, noticing, the little restaurants, noticing the viewpoints. And it wasn't like I planned to do that, but it just happened. And I remember I was recording some videos walking up the hill going, oh my God, it's my last time going up the hill. And, it was like I needed to record the moment. I've still got them somewhere. But I remember, so there's this corner, you turn it, and before you turn this corner, you never see the Buddha. Like, you never see this big Buddha. He's huge, yeah? And before you turn this corner, it's like, okay, when is it coming? When is it coming? When is it coming? And I turn this corner, and I kid you not, I was completely overwhelmed. I saw Buddha, and I burst into tears. And I stopped walking. And one of the things you'll know that if you're walking up the big Buddha mountain in Phuket is don't stop, because once you stop, it's hard to get going. But I stopped because I was crying. I started hyperventilating. I was like, you know what? I still to this day do not know what that was about, except for I felt like that was home. I felt like Geelong, where I'd spent like 6 weeks of my life, became home. The ease of it, the incredible people that I met. And I was about to miss it. Like, it was like I'd found my path, and then I was getting pulled back down to England, or back up to England. And, someone was going, no, sorry, you've had a little bit of it, and that's it. It was like I was given that moment of purpose. And, every time I think about going away, I always think Southeast Asia calls me. And I've actually done my astrocartography, and I haven't had it read by a specialist or an experienced person. I've just done it myself online, and it's funny because it's based on where the planets were when you were born and your time of birth. And My astrocartography has these lines that go through Southeast Asia, so the Philippines, Thailand, Bali, then they disappear. Then they come up through Central Europe, so like we're talking Greece and Italy, which is weird because I've always loved Spain, but actually Greece and Italy, I adore them, but there were never places that I thought I could live until I went to Athens a couple of years ago. And then they go back down through Miami, Texas, and California. So these lines are my good lines, and they're places that I need to be. The funny thing is that the line that went through England was like, yeah, you're not going to achieve much in this country. I was like, oh my God, this is insane. And I think it's because of the sun. I am a complete sun baby. Part Sagittarius, part Scorpio, right? I am this inner secretive person, but I'm not. And then the other side of me is this adventurer, traveler, independent, fiery person. So I've got a little bit of both in me. And I think that's where that depressive side comes in. I think, the Scorpio side of me has that slightly more depressive side sometimes, but the Sagittarius is that's the thing that brings me out of my Scorpio side and goes, no, I'm this free spirit, travel, I want to do whatever I want to do. So yeah, so Thailand was one of my awakenings, but honestly, lockdown, when we all got put into this, like, oh wow, society was just insane at the time, right? We were all locked into our homes. Like, can you believe that the government had said, we are going to ask you to lock your doors, and we all agreed to it? Like, that's how much we are institutionalized and brainwashed, right? And I get it, there was this huge disease out there, we needed to protect ourselves, but we just went, yeah, sure, we'll lock our doors, and we were allowed out for 1 hour a day. Does that not just sound like prison? I say that, but I actually enjoyed lockdown. It's when I found myself, I think. I was going on these 1 hour walks. I was grabbing a coffee when the coffee shops opened, and when you could go out for a little bit longer. It was just amazing. And I remember my first next experience of spirituality was I was like, what is my life about? And so I actually had always gone, I really want to try a vision board workshop. Never tried it before. And I actually came across one and when it was actually in-person vision board workshop. So it happened, I think, did it happen in lockdown? It happened just before the lockdown, sorry. Not in lockdown, because obviously I stopped working on the 26th of March. I remember that very specifically. So it must have happened the weekend before. And I went to this vision boarding workshop and I created this beautiful board. And I had on there like a convertible Mercedes. I had on there like a body that I wanted to like achieve, my dream body. I had like the money I wanted to make, the house, the people I wanted to help, quotes that really like resonated with me. And that was like this board that I used to look at every single day. And the board was Reiki'd, it had crystals on it. And honestly, I was so thankful that I had this experience before the lockdown because it gave me something to work towards. And then I remember working with this coach and all of a sudden, like my personal training business, because I'd come back from Thailand in 2017 and I'd been doing all this personal training. I'd started like online coaching in 2018. But before that, I was doing just the one-to-ones in the gym. I was working at a spa and running classes. And then, in 2018, I started like playing with this whole online space. And I feel like that was divinely channeled and divinely guided through me because the universe or divine or source or spirit, whatever you want, or God, whatever you want to call it, had gone, actually, you know what, you're going to need something because this is coming, this pandemic is coming. And so I started online coaching and it was all about giving because when we were locked down initially we thought we were only going to be locked down for 2 weeks, but it happened to be like the first lockdown was a 3-4 month lockdown if I remember rightly, and it was beautiful weather. I remember that the sun was out, like it was like the universe went, okay, if you're not going to be in your homes, at least you can be in your gardens. Right? Luckily at the time, first lockdown, I lived at home with my parents. It wasn't until the second lockdown I was on my own. I was moved back into my flat. So, yeah, where was I? So all of a sudden, I just started giving. I started doing free classes on Facebook, on different sites like Recommendation, on Instagram, just free, just giving, because I just felt like that women out there needed support. From going to this full life to having, to being imprisoned pretty much, it's hard. And all I wanted to do was help people feel good and feel like there was community and there was someone that they could talk to, or a group of people that they could just kind of stick with, and just have this beautiful community that was growing of like people who wanted to stay fit, stay sane, and just kind of keep moving forward, even though we couldn't really move forward. So I did that. And then it was like, someone was like, okay, Ush, I think you need to stop charging for this. And I'd never really thought about it, but I was like, yeah, I think I do. And honestly, I became so abundant at that point. So 2020, 2021, for about a year and a half, everything was going so well. But you know what? When things are going really, really well, there's always a challenge that's put in your face, right? In front of you. You have to overcome hurdles, because that's what helps you to grow. And so when you overcome challenges, obstacles, traumas, and hurdles, you transmute that energy into something else. So I actually came down with this huge fever, and it was ridiculous. I ended up in hospital for 3 days on the trip. I had tonsillitis for the first time in my life, and it was the worst thing. I couldn't even swallow my own spit. I had to, have you heard, is it the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Mel Robbins? I had to count down to swallow. That's how bad it was. And then I had to go back into hospital because I had a cancer scare. Luckily, it wasn't cancer, it was polyps, and they had to remove them. The NHS at the time was amazing. They knew they couldn't see me on the NHS, so they just did private, which I'm so thankful for, because, it was playing on my health. But I became really ill in August. There are a number of reasons I think I became ill for, but, I became really ill and ended up with like this bug in my stomach. Which initially I thought was just acid reflux. But anyway, we'll go into that story one day. And a year and a half later, I had lost the body that I'd worked for. I'd put on the weight. I had to not close down, but really, really pretty much close down my business. I stopped working. And I had to go back into, quote unquote, the 9-to-5 rat race. And it was heartbreaking, but it was also another challenge for me. And this is where I realized that my sole purpose was to coach people, and that being in that 9-to-5 job wasn't my purpose, or isn't my purpose. I'm still doing it. It is incredible. I am thankful for it. It is a means to an end. But my sole purpose is to coach women. And I've done that all my life. And I had to think about everything that I've done through my life, all the businesses that I've owned, all the companies that I've worked with, and the roles that I've done. And it's always been about people. And so what I do now is, I work with women to help them transmute their traumas. And if they don't have major trauma, that's amazing. But like, I help women create that dream life, follow that soul purpose, the purpose we were born for. Our spirit knows what it is. So I help guide you to remembering. And that's what I do. And then help you on the path of putting it in, taking the action steps to put it into place. We're all powerful. Okay, we're all connected. We are spiritual beings having this human experience. And all we have to do is remember, right? We have to remember why we wanted to be born at this time, why we decided that this was the time that we wanted to be on this planet. And the thing is, our challenges, and this is something that you should all know, our challenges, our trials, our traumas, they all guide you towards your purpose. And our purpose is to heal from them, to grow from them, and to basically thrive from them. And then share that with the world. Because what we're trying to do in this new paradigm is to inspire everyone to change, everyone to grow, everyone to remember themselves. And that is what some of us light beings are here for. We're here to inspire other ones. Other light beings, absolutely. To grow, to come out of this 3D matrix and to remember who they are and remember how powerful they are. Sometimes we'll go into a 3D matrix at some point, and you know, we get completely like lost in this matrix of this is life, this is what we need to do, this is how it goes, we've got our bills, we've got to drive, we've got to go shopping, got to take the kids to school. But actually we're so much more than that. And so that is my purpose, to help women heal, grow, thrive, and, you know, just be incredible. So, as I said, these podcasts, you know, they're not just about me, they're about you. And what I want to share with you is inspirational stories, not just from myself and my life, but from women that I have come across, that women that I have worked with, women that I know from the communities, my healing circles, all of that kind of stuff. And I will be sharing, or they will be sharing, their stories with you, okay? As I said, this is all about helping you realize that there is more out there for you, because there is, darling, there really is more out there for you. So I'm Urvashi. I don't think I introduced myself at the beginning. Unlimited Urvashi. Now I'm so excited to work with you on this podcast. Well, that's not working with you, that's just sharing knowledge. If you do ever want to, you know, if you are feeling like you're ready to be guided towards your purpose, then I'm here to help you with that as well. So I do one-to-one coaching. I am going to do a group coaching program at some point, and I do corporate wellness using the 4 pillars of, you know, health and wellness, personal, financial, all that kind of stuff. So if you've enjoyed this short podcast and getting to know me a little bit more, I'd love for you to write me a review. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram. It's Unlimited Urvashi. That's unlimited spelled in the normal way. Urvashi spelled Urvashi. And yeah, I'll put links to contact me as well in the bottom. So thank you so much for your time. We're going to end the session just the way we started it, with a little bit of breaths. So if you can close your eyes one more time, if you're able to. If not, don't worry, just breathe. Take a deep breath in, out through the mouth. Deep breath in, out through the mouth. A really deep breath in, placing your hand on your heart, thanking yourself for being here today, remembering that you are going to take a moment to just, you know, change up your habits today, try something new. Remember that you are powerful, you are worthy, you are incredible. Say thank you, thank you, thank you, and so it is. Thank you for your time. I'm Urvashi. I'll speak to you soon.